Haruto Kiju finds himself in reincarnation. A curse prevents him from ever leveling up. Unexpectedly, he comes to terms with it because now he is part of the royal family. But soon he realizes, the curse has a bright side. He has unlimited mana. Victory seems inevitable until an unexpected turn of events throws him into a lonely temple where an evil god dwells. The evil god panics when the hero defeats the demon king, whom he himself had raised. His irritation is visible as he contemplates the hero's special powers, although in the past he tried many times to kill the hero. Strict rules prevent gods from interfering too much in human affairs. The evil god is forced to reconsider his strategy when he realizes the quick defeat of the demon king caused an energy deficit. The assistant had a chart showing a sharp drop in his overall energy, but at the same time suggested another approach. Instead of creating a hero from scratch, why not try to reincarnate someone? When he asked why bring the hero back in a new incarnation, she openly said she could curse his soul and turn him into a worthless hero or something like that. He thought this idea was brilliant. The evil god immediately understood this and joyfully declared that he would soon become a worthless hero. After that, he summoned the potential hero. Haruto Kiju, a 17-year-old boy, frowned, not understanding what was happening to him now. He asked the evil god if he was really killed by the first, and forcibly reincarnated into a world ruled by the evil god. When the god confirmed this, Haruto inquired about the reason for such an act. After all, if the evil god truly didn't care, he could have transferred Haruto without killing him. In response, God explained that the transition requires negative energy, fear of death and despair. The evil god's answer chilled him. A trembling shiver ran down Haruto's spine when he finally realized he was truly dead. But he quickly recovered and resumed his previous tone, asking if reincarnation was possible. He was not bothered that he would receive some skills and items. He believed that the evil god's status as a deity made it all worthwhile. When Haruto learned that the evil god really had something to give him, his fighting spirit leapt. He eagerly asked if it was a special ability or a cheating skill and promised to use it well, but the evil god's smile, threatening, dangerous, hinted at something else. A curse that would prevent Haruto from speaking when he smiles. Despite being creeped out by the curse, Haruto accepted his fate in this world. When the evil god explained that the curse would permanently fix his status, Haruto furrowed his brows in confusion. The deity explained, no matter how many monsters Haruto defeated, his status would never change. It would forever remain at level 1. Haruto was about to protest when the evil god suddenly initiated the reincarnation process. He threw him out before he could ask another question. When the evil god began to tremble, it became clear he had already spent a considerable portion of his holy energy. He did not expect that most of his dark powers would disappear, but he believed that with such effort, even the god of reincarnation would not be able to interfere with his reincarnation. The evil god Sama was the only one forced to kneel during the reincarnation process, but his assistant said that now, with everything completed, he could stabilize and regain his power. Then the evil god Sama decided to grant Haruto the third job, class according to the rules established by the creator god in the world of gods. He ordered the others, if possible, to lower Haruto's work class. The assistant noted that even with the third work class, Haruto has a permanent status and still would not be strong enough to defeat the demon king. The evil gods also agreed, noting that he needed to rest for a moment before dealing with the consequences. But he remembered that he had not yet decided where Haruto would be reborn, and it ruined his mood. When he explained the possible consequences of leaving everything unresolved, his assistant admitted, only evil god Same can perform the reincarnation ritual, despite evil god Same reluctantly agreeing because he wants to sleep. He ordered her to provide possible options and then quickly returned with a bow. Raising the arrow, he made sure he was aiming it at the target. He said he had to hit as best as possible and at the same time not touch it. Raising the arrow above his head, he wondered why this ritual was needed, although he was already exhausted. But given the established goal, he was certain. The chance that Haruto would become a slave was 90%. The evil god took an arrow and yawned, thinking that if his master wished it, Haruto would inevitably become a slave. Then he released the arrow, hit the bullseye, and left the assistant amazed. The subordinate only covered his mouth in shock, because his master showed such impressive accuracy as befits a god. God is a fierce god who pondered the board, a tool filled with his power, and once the decision was made, there was no turning back. Looking at the figure sleeping right in front of him, he declared, it is the evil god who made all the decisions. He was sure he could not play the role of a hero because of his frozen status. Everything will be fine after all. Haruto will undergo the process of transformation. The only thing left was the memory of his own identity, Haruto Kiju, 17 years old, who remembered his past life. He recalled meeting the evil god, though he could not understand why he was reincarnated. He knew a curse had been placed on him, but he doubted why it was there and whether all the effort was worth just a curse. Besides, did he really reincarnate while thinking about everything Haruto is seeing now? It is dark here, but he feels something soft and warm even before realizing it. and hears a moan along with it. This world accepts Haruto's gaze. Tina, flexible-bodied, apologizes and asks if he is uncomfortable. He can only gently say her name in amazement while Tina asks if something is bothering her. Haruto recognizes this girl because for 5 years since he was born in this world, Tina has been his personal maid who seriously takes care of him. Haruto has truly transformed, and he is still a child. Young Haruto tells Tina that he had a bad dream, while the stairs hold him tightly nearby, and asks if he will be calm if hugged like that. Tina adds that she will always be next to Haruto because of this. The boy falls asleep in the world of dreams. This is a short memory about Tina before she became Haruto's maid. One man asked her if she was really determined to be not just a maid for a child. Tina, Haruto's teacher, greeted him with a smile and said that this was the best opportunity that could have come up. The man asked why she was touching the precious stone on her chest. Tina explained she had been waiting for this moment since the day of his birth. The next day, Haruto woke up and saw Tina looking at him tenderly, saying that 5 years had flown by. Since it was already noon, Haruto finally looked around and froze in shock. He found himself in a luxurious palace. He feared that the evil god would force him into a life of slavery. Although he felt powerless, Haruto decided to use knowledge from the past world to get through this new life. At breakfast, he froze at the luxurious variety spread out before him. Tina suggested adding mayonnaise to his salad, and he was so fascinated when he first discovered this new condiment. The servant was pleased with his compliments. He put in a little more effort to make the dish tasty. The recipe for this dish was passed down by descendants from a hero who lived several centuries before this. Haruto could not believe his own eyes when he saw that someone had already beaten him. This mysterious figure caused positive changes in the world, and because of this Haruto felt, without special abilities he would never stand out. Disappointment crushed him, leaving only the dream of glory. Turning back to his room, he threw himself onto the pillow, hit it with his fist, and blamed all his misfortune on the evil god. Tears flowed like a river as he lamented his weakness at level 1 without any hope of advancement. The thought of training magic with Tina and his elite brothers and sisters only added to his anxiety. Haruto pondered whether there was a way out of this chaos, fearing the high expectations placed on him. When he raised his hand to check the status, the screen showed his identity as Zsoplex Garudo is a 5-year-old person with the blessing of health 30. Both physical and magical attacks are set at 10 as the evil god said, but Garudo's condition is cursed with a permanent status. He quietly reminded himself so that Tina wouldn't see this while the servant called him to wash up. Also, his stats showed, Garudo is level 1 sage and that too is forever. Having the body of a 5-year-old child, Haruto believes he has the mind of a 17-year-old. So he can only sit silently while Tina washes his back is wearing only a towel wrapped around him. The maid asked if she was scrubbing too hard, but Haruto's thoughts were restless. He wondered if he and Tina had always bathed together like this because for his current body, it would be very unusual. Later in the evening, when they both get ready to go to sleep, it may seem strange to his younger body. Haruto remained calm. He hugged the pillow and told Tina that from now on he would sleep alone. He allowed her not to sleep together anymore and she wondered if she had done something wrong somewhere. In fact, it was a 17-year-old boy from Haruto's past life. He was the one who so enchantingly felt Tina's presence. The consciousness from the past life made him feel that way, but Tina couldn't have known that. Haruto reassured her, everything is fine and he just wants to fall asleep alone. This news stunned and saddened Tina. Tears rolled down her face, and she tried to convince Haruto to change his mind. She offered him to come to her room if he suddenly felt lonely. She said he could tell her if he wanted to sleep together. At that moment, Tina looked like a sad puppy, her ears drooped, as she begged Haruto with all her might. When he left the room that night, Haruto couldn't help but wonder, maybe he had been too harsh with her. He pressed himself to the bed and memories overwhelmed him like a wave. He still hadn't left his mother until he was 5 years old even in his previous life. Now he had a chance. Thoughts about his mother and sister surfaced in his mind, and he wondered if everyone in his world also felt longing. Eventually, he quietly cursed the cruel god and couldn't forgive him. The next day, Tina enthusiastically met him to start training, and Haruto sighed with relief seeing that she was still fine. Raising his hand, he asked to show Tina's status window, and the cheerful maid gladly brought it up for him. To his surprise, she was at level 250. Tina was shocked to the point of distortion. She casually asked if he was satisfied, but he insisted he was strong. Tina revealed that she was also his guard. Without hesitation, she asked if he was ready to start training, and Haruto nodded. In his thoughts, he wondered why she took on the role of his personal maid and promised himself to ask about it later. Like most instructors, Tina started with the basics. She demonstrated basic fire magic at the lowest level for the lesson that day. Focusing mana in her palms, she sharply threw her hands forward, shouting and launching a fiery spear. It was clear to him there was nothing ordinary about this, and even Haruto, who could only stare wide-eyed, agreed. He asked if this was really the lowest level of magic. At his words, Tina froze this time but lied. saying she just wanted to show Haruto a good example and was simply too excited. And Haruto focused on the burning remains the result of Tina's technique. He became serious and said that Tina was high-level and skilled, and that he was not just an ordinary servant of Tina. Tina shyly admitted this and explained that her great-grandfather was a hero several generations ago. Thanks to the hero's lineage, she could easily raise the level just as she did. She asked her master if he was satisfied, and when he answered yes, she encouraged Haruto to continue training even though there was something about it that didn't add up. Tina began teaching, saying that he needed to feel mana and see what would happen. Haruto did as she instructed. He felt something warm and beautiful at his fingertips. Tina praised him and said that the warm sensation he was holding in his hands was mana, and that she had become even happier because he could already manipulate mana so far. Haruto scolded Tina and blamed her magic circle for everything, but Tina defended herself, saying she only helped when he asked her to gather mana. At first he doubted, but still managed to confidently perform the action, pushing his palm forward, and felt a sting when nothing happened. He spent considerable effort gathering mana, but Tina continued to praise him, acknowledging his achievements and talent. She assured him, with greater skill he would be able to try shooting magic. All that is needed is to gather mana in the palms just like last time. Haruto reproduced Tina's calming smile for a moment and forgot about the curse. Then Tina ordered him to imagine as if his hands were holding flames. Emphasizing the importance of clear visualization to focus better, Haruto closed his eyes and repeated Tina's actions. The result was a small tongue of flame. The servant was amazed by Haruto's skill in shaping the flame and striking the target accurately with it. He was even more surprised when Haruto hit a perfect fire projectile with fire lance on the very first try. And she asked if Haruto was tired, to which Haruto replied that he still had enough energy. Tina explained that at this level people usually spend their mana to zero, but Haruto reassured her could continue training. Tina agreed, but before letting him go, she set the limit to 3 shots. It just turned out that this was not so bad after all. Haruto was satisfied with the result, although earlier in the evening he felt a bit uncomfortable. Even on a basic level, it seemed to him that shooting magic was truly interesting. Consider yourself blessed, Haruto thought. The next day Tina handed him a small bell. It was supposed to be rung as a precautionary measure. At that moment, he felt unwell because the servant had to go to town for supplies. Just then, when Haruto asked what would happen if he rang it, the servant only replied that he would fly to him even from afar, and Haruto accepted the bell as soon as he left. After he left, he decided to continue training, remembering that he was not tired at all, although today he had shot Lance 4 times. Haruto was going to test what this experiment was capable of and swore to stop as soon as he felt tired. He began to accumulate mana and release fire spears one by one until he finally reached the mark of 30. Now he could not understand why his mana had not run out at all, and only then did he finally understand everything. He immediately opened the status and checked everything. His statistics remained the same. Even the number of people stayed the same, 10, despite all the fire spears he had released. Haruto was convinced that he had already exhausted his mana when he saw that this number had not decreased at all. No, they had not changed. He felt that something was wrong, but wondered if he could keep the status line open when he used his magic. When he found out that this allowed Haruto to quickly release 3 fire spears in a row, and realized that his statistics had not dropped at all. This was a loophole for him. This curse was given to him by an evil god. Remaining status literally meant that the maximum value of the indicator is preserved, but instead the real stat numbers remained and did not change. This meant even if Haruto used his mana magic, it would not be depleted. And depending on how exactly he used it, he had the opportunity to become stronger because this idea was ingrained in his thoughts. He sat down and began to think about how to deal with the curse, considering its complexity. Haruto wondered, could he combine quick spells and magic to enhance the power of the shot? Now he was stirred by a loud, dull rumble in his stomach. Realizing this, he understood. The day had already passed the late second half, and he had not eaten anything since Tina left. The statistics had not changed, but he still felt hungry, and when it came to Tina, he vaguely wondered if his servant was busy, so he tried to ring the bell to check whether she would really keep her promise. Tina seemed to come out of nowhere and rushed straight to him and sharply pulled the strong Mary Poppins to herself. The maid's face was filled with anxiety. She asked if Haruto was intact and how he felt, and only then why he rang the bell, while Haruto himself sat as if petrified by her sudden appearance. He did not really believe that she would come to him like that and immediately distracted attention to Tina. Haruto made him understand that he was angry, so the servant was scared as soon as he realized. It was already late afternoon. He ordered him to quickly prepare food, and in the room Haruto warmly smiled at him, hesitating to admit that he needed to apologize. He was drawn to reconcile again with the evil god, but at the same time he wanted Tina to be proud of him and for him to become stronger. Tina continued to train Haruto, pushing him to the next level. A month had passed since his reincarnation, and now Haruto was participating in monster hunt destruction, a tradition of the Silvuplex family. The love of people for hunting was embedded in their very essence. They both fussed chasing after the horned rabbit until Haruto showed him where to go, and Tina created a magical ice wall and trapped the creature. The servant blocked the horned rabbit's path and it turned its attention to Haruto. When the monster lunged at him, Tina warned him to be careful. Haruto took position, gathering mana at his fingertips, then released a sharp fiery spear that hit the creature in the head, hoping to quickly end its suffering. The fiery spear pierced the horned rabbit. Tina approached closer, catching her breath, and praised Haruto for handling it with a single shot. Haruto gave all his magic, which allowed him to deal with the rest of the monsters that fled. Tina praised his endurance in that situation. But another emotion flashed across Haruto's face as he looked at the bloody body of the horned rabbit. Haruto is overwhelmed with anxiety because he killed a creature that made him see clearly. He is still just a small child, and we will never understand rich people and their passion for hunting. As Haruto thinks about all this, his hands tremble, and this draws Tina's attention to how he killed the creature. Both the creature and the servant quickly approach to comfort him, trying to explain the circle of life and that the horned rabbit may be weak, but its meat is tasty, so predators often hunt it. They also emphasize, all this is because the Silvuplex family is nobility entrusted with regulating this territory, regularly culling the population and maintaining the safety of the city's inhabitants. Then she gently takes the creature and says they should value the life of the horned rabbit. Haruto asks how to skin it. In response, she can only smile. Instantly he forgets about it, praising her strong will. They both return to the manor, where Tina begins teaching Haruto how to skin and prepare the rabbit. From this horned creature comes delicious food. Tina prepares it for her grateful master, Haruto. Tina's tears well up in her eyes as she looks at him tenderly and lovingly, thinking that Haruto will become a great sorcerer, because he knows how to value life and not hide from reality. Moreover, there is another reason why she believes this will happen. She saw with her own eyes how his fiery spear pierced the magical ice wall that he had cast earlier, and it was very strange. In addition, she remembers how he secretly increased the power of the target he trained daily in magic, because if he hadn't done that, his target would not have withstood Haruto's attacks. Taking all this into account, magic is also considered. Tina thinks that Haruto is becoming stronger and stronger again and again, despite his statistics, and this makes the servant wonder if his master is a reincarnation. But Tina quickly dismisses this thought. It's probably too early to know if it really is him. The servant believes he can tell her something about it. And she is in no hurry to find out the answer. After all, she has been waiting for him for 100 years. And then, another 5 years passed. Haruto enters the Magic Academy and finds himself right in front of the institution, when suddenly a voice orders the newcomers to gather in the lecture hall. And even before that, a louder voice interrupts him. A student tells his classmates watch where he is going. The girl who accidentally bumped into the boy apologizes but still ends up surrounded by a group of bigger boys. One of them, a confused student with glasses, asks if she understands that the boy she elbowed is the son of Baron Zordi. His nobility is indicated by 2 white stripes on his collar, and he wonders if bullies have to look ugly in every story. But as soon as she returned to what was happening, the girl begins to panic. Tears gather in her eyes. Not knowing what to do, she herself had no idea. Behind the scene, 2 other students were watching. One boy asks the other if the girl really bumped into them. The other replies and says that actually the boy in the middle pushed her and oppressed the poor girl just because they are aristocrats. The boy's eyebrows furrow as he thinks about how those kids acted against the poor girl, and he is already planning how to fight back even if they are nobles. Suddenly another boy sprang up and stopped him as he was passing by, saying he was about to do something. Instead, the first boy called him an idiot and ordered him to stop. When he suddenly realized that this boy had 3 white lines on his collar, it became clear he was of noble birth. And yes, it was none other than our hero. Haruto rushed forward like a knight in armor. Our boy stood between the girl and the crowd of men who ordered them to stop. One of them turned angrily to Haruto and asked if he understood who he was dealing with. But our boy did not flinch, and the one who looked like a rat declared that they needed to leave because the person they were talking to was the son of a count. Haruto told them there would be no problem if they retreated now, because he did not want the situation to get worse. Fortunately, the boys did as they were told. So Haruto turned his gaze to the girl and asked if she was okay. She said she was just unlucky and that not all nobles were like that. And she quickly believed it and sincerely thanked Harutano. He had saved her because she had already gotten out of that situation. The girl told him how she was afraid they would beat her up when they surrounded her like that. Suddenly, another boy appeared, the one from before. He apologized to Haruto for his previous rudeness and explained that she did not understand at first that the boy was none other than the son of a nobleman. He recalled how Haruto jokingly asked if he did not consider himself unnecessary, and when he called the nobleman like him an idiot. This made that boy bow deeply and apologize even more hastily. But Haruto told him that our hero did not mind if he pointed it out with his actions, so the boy smiled and asked what Haruto meant. Haruto told him that they should surprise each other as friends, so he teased. If he did not agree, he would tell his father how he called him an idiot. The boy got scared and screamed that Haruto should not blackmail him after he already said he wanted to be friends. And he could only laugh in response, saying everything was fine, after all they were friends. Yet the boy eventually gave in, and Haruto already reached out his hand until another finally introduced himself. Rook. The girl, who had been quietly watching their conversations all this time, softly asked if she could also be friends with them. They agreed, introduced themselves, and called Ruka their friend and made others ask why she was the one who introduced them. The girl did not object and introduced herself as Luna. Their gaze lingered on her, and the three finally held her back. Holding hands. Cut to the next scene. The initiation ceremony had just ended, and the three had just discussed how tomorrow they would announce the class list, moving on to their new friends. Haruto asked if they wanted to come to his house, and Rook remembered that nobles do not live in dormitories, they have their own houses on the school grounds. Luna lit up eagerly upon hearing this and said they needed to go there with a map in hand. The three set off while Haruto charted their route on the map. Rook turned to him and said that in his mind they would arrive soon. Haruto did not understand exactly where, because he himself could not find it until suddenly Rook asked if this was the house he meant, pointing to the huge house right in front of them. Even Garudo could not believe it was just too big, but still had to put it on his father's shoulders. Meanwhile, Rook and Luna admired it from where they stood. Luna asked if the estate had servants. She, of course, expected that her friend was from the Count's family. Suddenly the door opened, and Tina came out to meet Haruto at home. When she asked who the two people behind him were, Haruto introduced them as his new friends. Tina blossomed with a smile and joyfully greeted her master. Haruto could not help but recall his expression when he told Tina that he wanted to eat with them and also at the estate. Tina told him she would start preparing their food and asked them to relax in the living room while they waited. The three students talked about classes, and then Luna told the two boys that she hoped they could all get into the same class. Ruck shared this feeling because he thought many of their classes would be better if they all ended up together, and he did not know that Tina overheard their conversation. The next day everyone was surprised when it turned out they really were in the same class. Luna was delighted and Ruck asked Haruto if his father noticed. Haruto denied it, he said he had not told his parents anything. So they all headed to their class when Haruto asked if each class had a separate special classroom, and Ruck echoed the praise. The room for newcomers looked very impressive. Everyone entered, and soon after one of the students greeted them by saying their lesson was already over. Finally, everything they had arrived. The student who greeted them first was named Lifa. She said she was glad to cooperate with them, and another girl, Melody, added. They also had classmates who were brothers and sisters Ryushin and his sister Ryuka. Another girl in a kimono introduced herself, Yuko. Haruto stared at Yuko, not knowing if he was the only one who saw the girl's story. Their last classmates are twin girls named Mai and Mi. Haruto and his gang also introduced themselves, and she cautiously asked if he was a count. Haruto said he liked being called by his own name, not his title account, and asked her and others not to worry about formalities. This touched Liafa. Yuko asked Haruto if his friends this time also received special treatment for him. After he joined the class, Haruto admitted, maybe his father used connections, although he never told his parents anything that could jeopardize the subject. Ryushin loudly asked why their class was the only one without an assigned teacher, not even knowing that their instructor would enter the room just when his sister said that other classes already had teachers. Suddenly the classroom door opened, and Haruto exclaimed Tina's name in surprise, seeing his assistant enter the office. Tina immediately approached the teacher's desk and told Haruto that from now on she should be addressed as Tina-sensei without unnecessary talk. Tina introduced herself as Tina Garable and said that she would be the instructor responsible for their class. The maid became an instructor. Tina was like Barbie, she could be anyone. After Yuko heard the name Tina Horrible, she asked if she was the same heroic figure who led the hero in killing demons 100 years ago. Tina casually admitted that she was indeed the same person who received surprises from her students. Haruto could not comprehend that she was really a heroic figure, but that explained why her level was so high, not only because she was a descendant of a hero. But another, bigger question remained in his mind. He finally addressed Tina and asked how old she was. Again, Tina corrected his words. He had to call her sensei, and asking a woman her age was considered rude. Haruto was embarrassed and quickly apologized. When Liafa's hand suddenly rose into the air, the young student asked sensei if she was really Tina Horrible, because Tina Horrible was legendary even among elves. The trouble was that Tina Horrible disappeared after killing the Demon King together with the heroes, instead of explaining everything to them. Tina had just decided to show them her status board. It was faster to earn income that way. When they saw that she was already at level 250, the whole class was stunned. It was an incredible status level. Luna, on the other hand, was impressed that Tina, who cooked such delicious food for them yesterday, was actually very strong. Yuko also joined and she asked her sensei if she could ask her a question. Tina-sensei gave them the green light, and Yuko immediately asked why a person of her level decided to become their teacher. Tina-sensei replied that she did it to kill someone someday, and almost the entire class was left confused and puzzled. The teacher began to explain. Besides being their instructor, she was also a servant of Haruto, who guards something. And Luna already knew about this when they came yesterday. She continued, telling them that she came here to the school to protect him. The young master usually sits in class and spends time wandering around the plantation, so he has plenty of free time. That's why he decided to become an instructor, as soon as he came across a recruitment brochure for teachers in this area. As Tina explained, Haruto noticed how she raises her index finger, a gesture she often makes when trying to hide something. Haruto stared at her, trying to understand what Tina was concealing. In the next scene, Luna was amazed to learn that fights are held in every class. The teacher emphasized that this happens once a month. Tina-sensei also mentioned a nearby cake and a pancake shop, as well as free access to the school's largest library. Forte was satisfied, although he expected exactly this from Tina-sensei's academy. Tina-sensei said that due to their location, many classes might sign up to compete with them, so she advised them to enjoy themselves and give their best to keep their class strong. Forte raised his hand and asked if, in the case of several challengers, priority would be given to the stronger classes. Tina-sensei confirmed. They can encounter upperclassmen every time, and Ryuki's expression darkened from this. Lifa shared this concern as well when she asked how difficult it is to maintain positions in the class if newcomers compete with seniors. Tina-sensei calmly assured them that every student in the class has the potential to become strong. With her help, she was confident everything would work out as it should. Haruto, who was silently listening, couldn't help but wonder where Tina got this confidence from. Tina's determination to move forward changed the course of the conversation, and she urged everyone to share their magical abilities. She had prepared an aiming exercise in advance and demanded to show the full power of magic. Haruto realized that this was the same training they had been doing since he was very young. Ryushin looked intently at their teacher and asked if he was allowed to use all his power. Tina gave him permission and turned to address the entire class. She explained that from now on, all of them would participate in this competition, and that the first step to friendly team cohesion is to understand each other's limits. According to Tina, Lifa voluntarily offered to be the first to show her magical abilities. Wasting no time, Lifa gathered mana in her palms, and a bow and arrow grew from the air. She put all her strength into it, and as soon as she released it, struck with a powerful shot called Wind Arrow. They found Legola's Haruto, a female archer who impressed with how she hit the target solely thanks to wind magic, considering how difficult it is. Tina talks about Tina. She praises Lee for her extraordinary performance, and this time the volunteers moving forward are the twins Mai and Mai. Tina gives them a sign and they both stand opposite her, chanting the spell, holding themselves exactly as Haruto asks if they are reading it together. The teacher confirms and explains. The magic of twins is truly special, their hands hold each other's fire. And the power of water envelops the twins' bodies as they shout the name of their technique Union Ray. Tina-sensei praises them both. She says how wonderful it is to combine magic of opposite attributes. The fortress finally understands why this might be so, and my synchronization is perfect to the smallest detail. Next, at the next moment, we voluntarily become the first. Tina orders her not to stop, to move forward, grabs her right hand and shouts Dragon Morph. Because of this, her hand sharply changes. Everyone is shocked by this transformation. While Tina-sensei calmly explains that Ryushin can change parts of his body to fight, Ryushin rushes to the target and slashes it, shouting Dragon Claw. While Tina further explained that she is a magical warrior of the dragon race, she stared at him enviously. She whispered about how she would also like to knock down the target the same way. Ruck calmed her. Ryuka's success is the result of the damage inflicted by everyone else, and his technique only finishes it off. When Ryuka saw the damaged target, she pointed to Tina. Tina said that Ryuka can take materials from imagination, so now the target belonged to Ryuka. Then she demonstrated skill by activating her ability Dragon Morph Resurrection. Placing her hands on the target, Ryuka magically fixed everything so that Luna was impressed. Luna asked if this was dragon recovery magic, and it made him and Ryuka smile joyfully. She noticed. Tina explained that Ryuka's resurrection magic can return objects that have magical power to their original state. Haruto calmly analyzed everything, reflecting on humans and supernatural beings. He knew life force still remains in the body for about a day after death. Although resurrection magic is usually limited to an hour, he was impressed that Ryuka can revive someone who died within the last day. Watching the power of his classmate, Haruto finally understood why Tina was so confident in their class. He realized he is also in the group of strong people. Despite the fact that he was still level 1 due to the curse of the evil god. This painful hint at his reborn life made him clutch his head with his hands, and he suddenly realized that he hadn't told Tina about it. While he was sobbing, Yuko just silently watched him, frowning. Then Tina turned back to the class, and said that her target had already asked who among them wanted to go next. This time Melody stepped forward, and Luna asked if she could magically support. The former Melody replied that she could. Suddenly Luna's character completely changed. She began to enhance Melody. She increased her maximum magical power, brought her magical attack to the maximum, strengthened her physical strength, accelerated her speed, and sharpened her focus with intensified concentration. Even Melody was impressed by all these level-ups. But it took her a moment to feel the wave of power. She declared that it was the first time she had received something extraordinary, and this confirmed her words. Melody directly struck the training target with her flying air punch. The target flew into the opposite wall and all the way to Kingdom Come. Rek muttered that it had temporarily disappeared, and Ryushin admitted defeat. But Melody's whole thought was that she had overdone the sharpness a bit. Meanwhile, Sensei Tina was showering praise, as were Luna and Melody, a perfect pair. No one noticed that Yuko quietly slipped out of the classroom. Sensei Tina looked back at the class. She glanced at the other students, who would take the next step after the previous 8 showed such stunning magic. Inside Haruto something stirred, and he began to doubt why betray if it could be done without it. Just as he was about to volunteer, Ruck silently stopped him, confidently raised his hand, and offered to go next. Ruck assured Haruto that he would give him a break later. He knew that Tina personally taught him and believed in the strength of his friend. Haruto froze in place, feeling the weight of his status level 1 like never before. Tina-sensei gave her consent, and Rock received permission to continue. From a simple signal, forms and symbols emerged. They appeared before the eyes and emitted an ethereal glow from Ruck's feet. He raised his hand above his head, and thunder rumbled above them. Speaking a spell, he directed his hand at the target and shouted Ultima Thunder, while others were amplifying their own energies. Suddenly, a powerful lightning strike hit the target, and only a burnt hole remained on the ground. Lifa turned to Tina-sensei and confirmed. Ruka's magic really reached the peak that Tina had mentioned. Tina explained that Ruka's full name is Rookville Ifris, and he is the grandson of President Ruano, the respected leader of Ifulus Magic School. Like his grandfather, he had the rare ability to master one of the most powerful magics. After that, Tina shifted her gaze to Hiroto, the only student left standing, as if frozen. She was curious how he would continue after witnessing Ruka's incredible performance. Suddenly, Tina told Haruto that he should use only 30% of his power. Haruto was confused not because of the quality, but because of Tina's insistence. She looked too serious, almost begging him to use only 30%, otherwise the training center would simply ignore them. Reishin, the teacher, recalled how Tina-sensei pushed them to use all their magic to the limit, and it made him wonder if Haruto's magic would lose in comparison. Although the fortress allowed even the highest magic, Tina's intervention hinted that her power was significantly higher. Unaware of anything, Haruto felt the weight of their assumptions pressing down on him. He gathered his thoughts, preparing for Tina's strategy to set a low bar for him. Haruto decided to use minimal magic, assuming that Tina did not want to be the weakest in the class. He aimed to impress by quickly and decisively breaking the target. Haruto assured Tina that he understood her expectations but would not be able to change much, promising to exert about 30 effort. Tina agreed to strengthen the protective magic, but Haruto refused. He did not want to weaken her efforts. He gathered mana in his hand, thinking that his maximum power was 10, and that he could only use low-level mana up to 10, so he decided to layer it. But in about 5 seconds, he created mana equivalent to 100,000 and transformed it into the fire element. That was what Haruto understood. The cursed status did not change, no matter how much he used. Haruto was so absorbed in his technique that he did not hear Tina anxiously remind him. He needed to use only 30. Haruto just smiled at her and looked so convincing that it took one's breath away. He deserved a reward, so he returned to his technique. Haruto thought if he wanted an impressive appearance, he needed something that would explode. So he decided to layer dark magic of explosion and thunder about 1,000 more towards the end. As soon as he was ready, he released it with all his strength, shouting Lance as he launched his technique. While Tina warned him one last time to stop. Meanwhile, somewhere in the academy itself, Yuko was walking in circles and muttering to herself that she did not expect to encounter a hero here. Now she was in one of the special classrooms, checking the thermos and wondering if there was anything in it that could be used. When he turned around, he was stunned by a deadly explosion. He rushed back into the training room in their class, looking confused at the shock of everyone around. Tina stood among the ruins. Her clothes were burned and clumped together, and seeing the burns on her body, he involuntarily shuddered. Haruto called her, but she came over and began to apologize, and he instinctively stepped back, feeling her anger. Tears streamed from her eyes as she scolded him and admitted that she had already warned him to use only 30 of her power. She complained about how she completely failed to repel the attack, emphasizing the destruction that the Central District could suffer. Haruto tried to explain the difference between home and magic academy, but Tina cut him off mid-sentence, emphasizing the difficulty of maintaining her magic outside the academy. Venting her frustrations, she was met with questions from classmates. whether her actions were safe and how effective her barriers were. Lifa expressed disbelief that a level 250 like Tina-sensei could not properly defend against magic. Melody was amazed by her incredible power, and Luna asked why Haruto did not have supportive magic. Tina abruptly dismissed the class, promising to sort out the situation, and ordered them to return to the dormitories. She asked Haruto to stay exactly what he was already expecting. Tina and Haruto, as planned, returned to the main building. In a quiet voice, Haruto apologized once again, reminding Tina of his repeated warnings not to unleash all her power to the fullest. He shrugged in agreement, but what happened next confused our hero. Tina trembled and froze with her gaze, admitting that just a moment ago she thought, "This is the end for me." Haruto was stunned when Tina showed him the remains of the item, the only thing that could have saved her from death. It was a pendant with a stone that Tina always worried. Haruto asked if it was a magical tool. Tina was already sobbing and explained that if her life was in danger, protective magic would activate, but it could only be used once. Someone had given it to her. From all this, Haruto felt deep guilt and kept apologizing incessantly, solemnly promising to do everything she asked even if he did not fully understand what it meant. Tina, hearing his words, asked if he was absolutely sure, and Haruto, in a focused tone, reassured her and asked her to stop crying. Then he asked if she agreed to sleep with him again just like before, repeating her promise to do anything. Tina quickly agreed but still clarified if she was really okay with it. In despair, she asked Haruto if she could hug him. This simple request shocked Haruto, but he allowed her. It didn't matter to him. For Tina, it meant a lot, so she thanked him, wiped her tears, and immediately threw herself into his arms. He reached out his hands to hug her and left her confused again. She did not yet know that she already wanted to hug him. Tina cried again, admitting how scared she was. After another apology, Haruto finally touched her head with his palm, a simple gesture, trying to calm her down. He told Tina that her body had been restored earlier, then she managed to change the request and she smiled happily because of it. Tina said that her request is valid forever, not just tonight, and Haruto replied that since then they would sleep together again. That night, when they were already minimizing their sleepwear, Haruto asked her why she decided to be a maid. But if the question were his, he would ask Tina why she wears minimal sleepwear instead of answering directly. Tina said if they talk about it, Haruto will fall asleep late at night, so she asked if he minded. Haruto gently smiled at her, said that everything was fine, and that this time he wanted to listen to her story. Haruto asked again why she became a maid, holding her hand. As she said, the reason was that, in his opinion, it would not be strange for her to work for the country, especially with her abilities. Her father had wealth and influence, but that was not enough to get Tina a job, and apparently during this period she also refused invitations from abroad. Without heroes from another world, even the country could do nothing. Its will was stronger than everything, because it had a power equal to the power of the heroes. Tina began her story long ago, when she set out with the heroes brought from another world. Then they, having killed the Demon King, made it so that all this happened. She had one whom she truly respected, and this one was not even the most important in their group. And every time this person heard about the monster that destroyed the village and the town, they became a hero. The one who always rushed to where their heart led them. He was the only participant who gave them the courage to stand up against the pack of monster sand. Now Tina recalled many memories of how he called him. She told Haruto that this man did not defeat the Demon King, but to her he was a true hero and that she often spent time with him. And Tina, recounting various images that surfaced in Haruto's mind, inserted scenes from the past about different people. Even a woman who resembled Tinand, each of them, insisted that she was suffocating in pain. This sudden barrage of images made Haruto's head jerk in pain. And while Tina continued the story, she admitted that one day she felt herself beginning to fall in love with him. But according to the rules of this world, the heroes were soon to be sent back to their native world after they defeated the Demon King. And one of the rules made Tina think that people like her would be of no interest to anyone. And surprisingly, Tina said that the man responded to her desire this time, and in Haruto's mind, a picture resembling Tina appeared again, with outstretched arms. He could not understand what it was. Holding his head, he asked Tina if she had fallen in love with that person, but she quickly denied it, explaining that their relationship never progressed further. After that, Haruto could only smile shyly, thinking how sorry he felt for her if she had no experience in such matters, yet deep down he was still somewhat glad. Tina continued the story and said that these wonderful moments finally ended as soon as their friends finally reached their goal and killed the Demon King, which made Haruto ask whether heroes are not allowed to choose at all to leave this world or to stay. He emphasized, these heroes did everything they could to stay with Tina, but it seemed beyond their power. If they could, they would have done it. Haruto recalled that he was a descendant of a hero and wondered if his great-grandfather also left his family and returned to the original world. Tina answered yes, because in this world logic works that way when she wants to ask about something. Tina stepped forward and told him that the stone pendant was part of magical protection. The hero handed him the stone. One day, he had a feeling as if a similar magic to his own had just entered the world. and he feared that her reincarnation would become a threat to the hero. Tina surprised him by acknowledging his magical abilities, at least that's what he thought even before Haruto could finish apologizing. She revealed that it was she who was reincarnated and not as a hero. Haruto could only quietly respond, how does she know this if he has no memories like hers? When Tina approached Karase's face, he looked at her with deep sadness and wondered why he was not the one who was reborn. He admitted that every day he diligently watched Haruto, observing how he trained with boundless zeal. Gradually, the image of the hero began to merge with his own, until Tina managed to express hope for his reincarnation. Haruto hugged her, his cheeks flushed with a blush. She asked if he accepted her. Tina happily agreed. He was glad to hear Haruto promise to become stronger than the hero to protect her and their world. He asked if she would stay by his side, to which Tina joyfully replied, yes, and declared that she would stay with him forever. After a breath of fresh air, Haruto set a goal for himself in this world to surpass the hero who defeated the Demon King. To become even more powerful, to protect Tina and their world just as he felt love for her. Their relationship overnight sharply went from 0 to 100. The next morning, Tina returned to her duties as an assistant. She opened the curtains and greeted him. Meanwhile, as Haruto began to wake up, she said that breakfast was ready. Tina asked his permission while Haruto sat quietly. Tina kissed him, and from that Haruto felt as if he had been cursed. He thought he wouldn't be able to raise the level, but he decided to gain strength and earn recognition as a wise person. Looking at Tina, who asked for protection, Haruto could only smile gently at her. I intend to become the strongest Sage Level 1 and her hero. Returning to the training center, Haruto could not shake off the awkward night and decided to come to class earlier. He asked one of the guards if the training ground had been repaired, and he confirmed it was done overnight by skilled dwarves. Tina reminded Haruto that they live in a magical world, so quick repairs were not surprising. Then she went to a staff meeting, and Haruto calmly headed to the classroom impressed by how quickly and neatly everything was fixed. After Tina told him her story, he has since been sincerely grateful for solving many problems. Moreover, as soon as he reaches the classroom, he finds out that he can use magic from any attribute. Haruto firmly believes he will find a way to get through the influence of the nobility and his low level. He firmly decided to use any resources he has, despite the influence of his family, because he has two important goals. But a voice suddenly interrupted his thoughts, praising the extraordinary magic he showed yesterday. Haruto turns around and sees Yuko sitting behind him. Surprised, he asks how long she has been there. Yuko replies that she had enough time. When Haruto enters the classroom, Tina's words about the 8 who prompted her to ask Yuko if she was at the training ground come to mind. Haruto is sure they could not have seen Yuko's magic. Yuko approaches him, touches his lips with her finger, and says that she has already seen his magic before. Haruto understands. He trained magic even when no one else was around, so he became less noticeable. He asks Yuko if that is why he makes his presence weaker and dilutes his own existence. Yuko explains that this is a high-level magic technique. It not only makes it harder for others to notice him, but also provides protection from physical damage. Haruto paused for a moment, reflecting on how rare his magic is, then asked if the magical power in the story behind him is of a different type. This made Yuko sharply raise her eyebrows in surprise, and anxiety froze on her face. Quickly recovering, he said that he sees it. Tails Haruto said he noticed it since yesterday, although when he couldn't finish the sentence, it became a bit unclear. He saw her reaction with his whole body, how she trembled. Yuko couldn't believe that he could see his tail. As soon as he told her that maybe he had no other choice but to get rid of it, she suddenly became hostile and stared fiercely at him. Haruto tensed. For some reason, at that moment he looked dangerous. And he simply ordered her to leave and did not say that they were friends. Yo quickly changed her attitude. She thought she couldn't defeat him because he was abnormal, and Haruto tried his best to get her attention. As a last chance, he told her, if she doesn't want anyone to find out, he won't tell anyone about it. And at these words, Yuko looked at him in a way that her face was unreadable. She only replied she had no other way out. And before she could do anything, Yuko suddenly appeared in front, grabbed his right hand and kissed it. That shocked him. As soon as she said that he had just made a contract, a symbol flashed in his hand. Haruto turned pale, realizing in panic how careless he had been. When the power spread through him in a wave, he thought, if he uses so much magic, he won't be able to fight against her anymore. Quickly, he pushed it aside and declared that he could no longer move freely, but Yuko immediately proved him wrong. She told him that he probably misunderstood everything, because in reality, the opposite happened, not what was in the main servant contract he had signed earlier. That contract meant that he would serve her. But now she was under his protection as soon as her kitty got out of the bag. Yuko told him more about herself than the nine-tailed fox about herself. She is a demon who grows by gathering magical power in her tails. Moreover, they could transform into humans. But the scariest thing about the nine-tails was different. It was believed that when they reach full maturity, they cause natural disasters. Yuko said she came to the academy to effectively accumulate magical power, and that, Having also the ability to subjugate others through suggestion, she plans to bring her power to a certain limit. When that happens, she will subjugate everyone at the academy and create her own headquarters. Haruto slapped her with a karate strike on the head, so Yuko rubbed her head and asked in surprise what he was doing. She inquired about the meaning of the speech and stood beside him, declaring, "Taking control of the school is only the beginning, next a new spirit and a fresh bump on his head." Yuko expressed the conviction that one day the whole world would be under his rule. And since she herself was under his rule, she invited Haruto to join the journey aimed at conquering the world, delivering him another karate chop. This time Yuko could not hold back and shouted, asking why he kept doing this. But Haruto remained unshaken and urged her to give up these crazy ideas. He asked why she did not strive for complete domination, having such power, but suggested, if she worked with him, she would have a chance to rule the world someday. This made Haruto pause for a moment to think about his own difficulties, especially after he was summoned by evil gods. He wanted to be invincible in this world, while a curse awaited him. Although Yuko's words might have influenced him before, now everything was different. Clenching his fist, Haruto told Yuko he had no intention to rule the world and was not the demon lord he aspired to become a hero. Yuko's expression darkened as she glared fiercely at him again and demanded an explanation for what he had just said. She became hostile again and asked if he really wanted to be a hero. Suddenly she approached him and asked if that was exactly how he saw her, and if he had the desire to use the magical power hidden in her before he could answer. Yuko told him that a nine-tailed fox like her is considered a natural disaster. This time she asked if that was exactly why she had been silent about her stories before Tina-sensei. All these sudden negative emotions shattered Yo when Haruto tried to approach her. She felt a stabbing pain in her head and tears flowed. The headache only grew worse. She felt as if her head was about to split open. Then suddenly a scene burst into her consciousness, a memory. It was a small nine-tailed fox approaching two people. One of them thought it was just an ordinary fox cub, but the other said it was actually a nine-tailed fox. The little creature ran away as soon as it heard the people say that a nine-tailed fox could be sold for a high price and urged the second person to catch it. Fear overwhelmed Yuko as soon as she felt a pair of hands holding her trapped in the next memory like chains. As soon as she was grabbed, another nine-tailed fox appeared, screaming how much she hated people, especially heroes. This other fox was her mother, and before she could warn the elder being, a massacre happened, one that made her scream even when her mother returned to the present. Yuko breathed a little easier as soon as she told him that heroes use their powers to exterminate nine-tailed foxes. This time when they revealed themselves, he went even more berserk, yelling at Haruto because heroes had trained in this matter and reached great heights when they were younger. She clearly saw how broken he was. She instinctively reached out and calmed him, stroked his head and assured him that she understood. Yuko shuddered when Haruto reminded her of the promise to keep their conversation secret except from him. He assured her he had no intention of abusing his powers. When Yuko asked about his plans regarding the contract he had just signed, he waved it off, saying it was irrelevant. Yuko could not believe he called the binding contract useless and insisted he would not be able to harm her despite the agreement, especially considering they were classmates. However, Yuko noted, to be under the protection of a higher-ranking one such as Haruto, he had to establish a connection with him through the magical power of one of his talismans. Due to the strong bond formed, he would not be able to break it. Then Haruto clarified whether it was he who severed that bond, and this was the crux of the problem. Yuko admitted that attempting to break the contract would result in severe consequences for him, so he should not do it. Haruto's realization that the contract was not only one-sided, but also dangerous for the end of Yo finally came when he recalled the terms. He must obey Haruto's orders for the sake of his life. In a grave tone, he swore to give his all to fulfill the agreement. But his sudden change of mood made Haruto stroke her head again, and Yuko screamed with delight. Even if he did it unconsciously, Haruto just smiled and said that, for some reason, he felt like touching her head in his thoughts. The desire to protect Yuko grew in him as he stroked her. Then Ruck approached them in the morning. He interrupted the conversation as soon as he asked Haruto what was going on. Yuko curled up on his lap and kissed him. When Ruck asked if they were always this close, Haruto agreed and did not explain anything, simply pushing Yuko back to her place because everyone would arrive soon. He said he did not object to her returning, but that warm and inexplicable feeling he had when he stroked her head made everything easier. And now his master had given him instructions. Yuko said she would return to her place like that. Haruto had an obedient demon dog who had the power to turn into a natural disaster in the future. Tina and Haruto were walking back to class when Tina began to express some doubts. But before she could finish speaking, Haruto simply asked if she had also noticed the presence that was always behind her. Tina emphasized the thought before speaking loudly, inviting Yuko to sit together. Suddenly, Yuko appeared above Haruto's head. While he admired Tina's abilities, it did not shock him. Somehow she seemed to know where Yuko was, even though there was no connection between them. Tina accepted the praise, but could not resist asking why Yuko was watching them and causing a fuss. Haruto intervened and began to explain the terms of the contract he had already mentioned. Just hearing the details, Tina activated her powers and confronted Yuko, asking if she was a demon possessing her. Such an unexpected reaction made both Haruto and Yuko pale and become wary of Tina's behavior. At first, Tina got irritated because she thought Yuko was acting strangely around them. Then Tina activated the mana gathering ability, drawing a circle of spells above herself, and everyone present panicked because of it. Yuko assured Haruto that she would obey him, and he promised to control Yuko's actions so that no one would get hurt. Tina confessed to Haruto that the only reason she was drawn to protect Yuko was their contract agreement. Unable to withstand Tina's power, Yuko sought protection from her lord, as advised by the servant. She stated that she was ready to destroy the demon for the safety of everyone. Haruto intervened and pressed Tina to stay calm as soon as he showed his contract seal. But Yuko, unlike him, demonstrated the absence of such a seal, meaning the contract did not apply to her. The revelation surprised both women, but Haruto, having just checked his status, was still under the curse and concluded that the contract had no power over him. The meeting with Haruto deeply impressed Yuko, and he could not help but find her incredibly cute, and because of that, he wanted to protect her. But Tina still stubbornly held on and did not retreat. In the last attempt, Haruto ordered Yuko to stand up and perform a simple action. Hoping that Tina would understand, he had no intention to harm. Surprisingly, Yuko carried out his order without any hesitation, and Tina lowered her hand. Turning around, Yuko finished the task, and Tina looked at the other girl and made a comment about how Yuko knows how to attack or manipulate people. Haruto pulled Yuko closer and reminded her that she has no right to harm anyone without his permission. Yuko wholeheartedly agreed and promised to stay close to Tina to ensure her safety. But still, Tina did not let go of doubts about Haruto's dignity and possible dangers while Yuko was nearby. Despite this, Haruto calmed her down and distracted her. Tina had no idea that Yuko was secretly plotting something behind her back. Her cunning nature was already coming out. When he remembers her, he also recalls that Tina is Haruto's assistant, so her employer is Haruto's father. And he cannot go against him, knowing Yuko's plan to seduce Haruto when night comes today. Tina enters Haruto's room in revealing clothes and asks why Yuko is in his bed. Haruto does not ask why Tina dressed like that, not because we complain. He simply says that this is the safest place and wonders why Tina also ended up here. Yuko directly asks Tina if she intends to sleep with Haruto, and Tina boldly retorts, "Can't I?" Yuko explodes with indignation when she reveals that she is his homeroom teacher. Tina argues that's not enough reason not to sleep with Haruto. To calm Tina, Haruto calls her to his bed and she obediently lies down next to him, accidentally brushing his hand with her breasts. Hugo notices and feels his self-esteem drop because of the lack in this, but before he can get stuck in a loop, Haruto orders him to go to sleep too. The next morning, Tina wakes up first and immediately wonders how they arranged themselves. Haruto is sleeping soundly together with Yuko in her fox form. She is dozing right on his chest. Tina quietly smiles. She can't get angry, so she gets up and starts her maid duties already in maid mode. Tina was hurriedly beating eggs for breakfast when Yuko entered the room and asked what she was doing. The fox girl shyly admitted that it smelled incredible while Tina finished making rolled omelets and offered Yuko to try some. Yuko grabbed a piece and bit it, and she couldn't help but admire it. It was so delicious. She said it was the best thing she had ever eaten. Tina admitted that it was Haruto's favorite dish, and these words immediately caught Yuko's attention. Tina offered to teach Yuko how to make rolled omelets, and this sparked the curiosity of others who also wanted to learn. Yuko eagerly agreed immediately and shouted that she wanted to study with Tina. Tina also offered to teach Yuko other household chores because she would be under Haruto's care. The girls got to work, but Yuko found out making fried omelet rolls turned out to be more difficult than she thought. Tina patiently showed her how to remove pieces of shell from the mixture and how to properly roll the eggs. After the task was successfully completed, Tina fried and rolled the eggs, simultaneously guiding Yuko through the process how to divide the mixture into 3 parts. Tina decided to talk about the tools she uses. She showed how copper is used to make metal and how well it conducts heat so it is suitable for fluffy omelets. But Yuko could not absorb all this information. She was completely focused on finishing the rolled omelet. The rolled omelet from the fox girl did not meet Tina's standards, but they were both proud that Yuko managed to cook it. She quickly bit into her dish and reveled in how the juice slowly flowed and how the flavor spread in her mouth. Yuko could not believe that the taste of food could change just by adding amber liquid, while Tina promised to teach her how to make dashi next time. Under Tina's guidance, Yuko happily carried the plate with the omelet above her head and was beaming. Now she could eat it whenever she wanted. But the waiter reminded her to pay more attention to the egg supplies. He was holding a bowl with empty shells from that very morning. But Yuko was already focused on showing her dish to Haruto, hoping to get praise for her work. About Haruto, Yuko asked Tina if he was still sleeping. And Tina replied that he would have finished his morning run long ago if her intuition had not failed. Probably, Haruto is training in the yard now. Just like the first time when he asked Tina to train with him. He kept doing it while the two women watched him from the window. Yuko wondered if this was his usual routine, and Tina confirmed and said that he had been training diligently since he was 5 years old. She talked about the difficulties of moving protective spells every night because of Haruto, and as a result, a strong barrier wall grew around Orchard. And Tina, recounting the memory of how young Haruto mixed magic. Yuko praised his diligent work ethic. Tina agreed, saying that she loves him. The fox girl hinted that she is gradually becoming attached to Haruto as well. Then the conversation jumped to morning greetings. Yuko excitedly showed the rolled omelet she managed to make, and Tina admitted that she taught Yuko how to cook so she could help as much as possible. Haruto praised the dish, and this prompted Yuko to decide to share her cooking with him. Tina praised Yuko's efforts, welcomed her as a new family member. A few days later, Tina informed the class about the upcoming fight against the 7th graders in 3 days. When it became known that the class had no desire to fight at all, they were stunned. It turned out they were assigned a duel against much older seniors. Luna, filled with excitement, asked if they were capable of this, while Tina-sensei assured them that despite the opponents being 7th graders, it would be a one-on-one knockout match with 5 fighters on each team. They remained confident because they believed in her students' abilities. She announced the team lineup for the team battle. On one side are Lifa, Ryushin, Melody, Rook, and Haruto. They look into the eyes of those who targeted Luna on the first day of school and stand against them. Tension filled the room when Baron Zordi's son asked why the freshmen occupied such a luxurious classroom, and provoked Haruto with a question about how he uses his family's connections. The opponents recognized Haruto, Rauka, and Luna, the very ones they had humiliated before, prompted Haruto to think that they were prepared for revenge. Without magic, we could not assess their strength, so our heroes realized they were at a disadvantage. Luna trembled with fear as she went out to face their opponents because of this. The other girls noticed and began to ask if she was okay. Melody's face turned pale when Lee approached and directly asked Luna what was wrong. Eventually, they found a secluded place where Luna, during the entrance ceremony, told about the incident how Haruto and Rook came to her rescue. Despite Lee's concern for Luna's health, who insisted, if necessary, she should see a doctor. Luna insisted that everyone stay and gathered everyone around her. Suddenly, they heard someone calling Lifa Vanguard, asking if she was a fairy while the boys mocked her in the meantime. Lifa faced the attack head-on and realized there were scoundrels among them. When a loud voice announced that the front row for both classes had to move to the contest stage, Lifa called out to Luna. Luna noticed how the other girls disliked the indifference to their visit to the restaurant a few days ago. Holding mana in her hands, Lifa ordered Luna to watch the match carefully. They planned to celebrate their victory there afterward. The arena began to fill with spectators, even the deer froze, drawn by the spectacle, while Melody predicted an exciting duel for the audience. Despite initial worries about the match against strong opponents, Melody expressed confidence that she could win and with a margin. After their quarrel with Tina-sensei, the senior students no longer had any chance against them. She could not understand why they might be underestimated just because they were 7th graders. In her opinion, they might have some extraordinary magic. Haruto agreed and decided that they should set high expectations despite starting from a low level. Lifa decided to heed the fortress's advice and proceed cautiously. She declared that she would defeat one of them. Haruto encouraged her when she entered the ring. The senior students were too confident and ordered Liafi to attack first. She couldn't believe they gave up so quickly. And it also showed how much they underestimated her. Lifa focused and created a strong wind around herself. Meanwhile, Haruto's attention shifted to the stands where he sensed Yuko. He saw Mai standing on the fence, analyzing the fight. Mai noticed that their opponents lacked intelligence, especially the group leader. She had forgiven Lifa enough time for her to preserve her magical power. Suddenly, a gust of wind knocked Mai off her feet. As soon as she touched the ground, Haruto managed to catch her in his arms. He was surprised at how light she was and didn't understand why. Mai looked at him with a flushed cheek and called out. She didn't take her eyes off him until her twin pulled her back and stood between them. Mai suddenly realized when she tried to explain that it was all just a misunderstanding and that he had actually saved her. But Mai became increasingly worried. She accidentally called him Haruto before thanking him and warned not to get too involved. So Haruto remained confused while they returned to the fight. Meanwhile, Lifa managed to gather an incredible amount of mana, and her opponent froze in complete disbelief. Luna supported her with a scream, and Leah's rival decided to use magic and activate a barrier arrow just like Liafa. Unfortunately, she didn't manage quickly enough to see. Liafa's technique easily pierced the barrier and made it explode. Now Liafa's main fear was that her magic was spreading in all directions right towards the defenseless rival. The match ended, classmates cheered and shouted together, but Liafa remained confused about everything that had happened. She froze in place and asked Tina-sensei for instructions. Suddenly, Tina smiled proudly and loudly announced that Liafa had completely defeated her rival. She boasted that she had supported the barrier the whole time while the class fought the gargoyle. She even bragged about this to the rival's teacher. The gray, bald old man expressed surprise that the instructor's magical wall could not stop Liafa's magic. He refused to admit defeat and claimed that Liafa's attack happened backstage, although this contradicts the rules. The referee explained, magic from outside violates the rules, but the reverse cannot be said. No one expected that the magic of one of the participants could destroy the teacher's barrier. The referee also added that if all the 7th grade students cannot, then this will automatically become the winning speech of the first year considering everything that annoys the other instructors, and Tina will only be able to grimace at the end. Another teacher explained to the judge that the 4 students who fainted were not participants, they were just cheering. The judge tried to say something, but the instructor called one of the students named Edgar from the audience. Edgar hid his face in a book and lazily sprawled on someone's lap until he heard the teacher's call. He asked the older man if he needed to sit here, since it was already known that the opposing team had Edgar's ace, his secret trump card. He had no choice, he had to go, but before that, he handed the book to the girl on whose lap he had been dozing and asked what had just happened in the first match. She briefly recounted the fight and told how Liafa managed to defeat 4 opponents outside the arena and earned Edgar's praise. The dark-haired girl also added that their team asked to continue the fight with player substitutions. The first team agreed without any hesitation. Edgar heard all this and immediately started talking about how ridiculously absurd their teachers were, and also asked if there would be anything else, because he had overslept very long last night. Edgar said he was sleepy but could do nothing about it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the new student, praise her for doing a good job and showing incredible magic, just before asking if she could step back so Ryushin could take the helm. Liafa agreed with a very joyful feeling, so Tina-sensei praised her while Ryushin in his special manner encouraged his sister and held her hand, he assured her, even if she dies she will still win because he will bring her back to life. Ryushin could only agree with her eccentric words, but at the same time felt as if everything she said was pressing on him a little. Tina shifted her gaze to the opponent. She knew that Edgar was a reliable partner for Ryushin, who fought skillfully in close combat, although Edgar's unexpected appearance was not in her plans. Both opponents took the stage, the only difference was one thing. One yawned, and the other was shining with energy, declaring in Russian that he would finish this match as spectacularly as Liafa. While Edgar asked if he was a dragonoid, Ryosha enthusiastically answered yes, and even boasted about how strong he was, but Edgar was not interested. Even so, he did not want to fight someone like him, but there was no choice. He was like Shikamaru in another universe. Meanwhile, in the spectator area, one student called out to a student named Rain and he rushed to them, reminding that there was still a lot of work left. His voice was so loud that a long-haired girl turned around and said that because of them she had been sitting late. The moon deadline was the main reason why Rain was so busy, because she heads the student council and vowed to submit all the work on time at the arena. Edgar raised the topic that only this confusing Russian person could defeat him. But he did not dwell on this for long. The commentator signaled that the fight was about to begin. Without any pause, he released the dragon morph and told Edgar that he did not quite understand what was meant. However, for the Russian, the main thing now was to show the class how cool his moves were. While Edgar remained calm and ribbons floated around him, Ryuchin rushed straight at him and insisted that he should be the one to decide. Ryushin's attack missed as if an invisible barrier stood between them. While others praised Ryushin for incredible speed and strength, Edgar pointed out his numerous vulnerable spots after he used his skills. With a sharp strike, clenching his hardened hand and releasing a series of objects resembling ribbons, he made Ryusin stumble and fall. Edgar said that dragonoids were a formidable race, so it was better not to hold back from the very beginning. Ryusin was eliminated, Edgar was declared the winner, and his sister exclaimed anxiously to him. The judge asked Ryuka to accompany them and prepare healing magic. She couldn't hold back and scolded her brother for negligence, but Haruto quickly corrected her. It is said that Ryu was not careless, his opponent was actually strong. Hearing this, Ryuka flashed a smile and promised to thank Ryushin as soon as he regained consciousness. Tina nodded, agreeing with Haruto's words, and added that Edgar is not only one of the best students in the school but also studies excellently. Haruto, the student council president, turned to Melody and asked if she could handle Edgar. After a short pause she agreed. He watched her speed, but what worried him most was her enchanting magic. Luna flinched when Melody predicted her moves, then Tina suggested that Luna ask the teacher if he was serious. As the commentator requested, the third participant from the first year had to prepare. Tina believed that if Luna increased her speed, Melody would have no chance to use her enchanting magic. Luna stepped to the edge of the stage and prepared to enhance Melody's abilities. When Haruto asked if the support magic could break through the fortress barrier on the opposite side, and whether it was even allowed during the match, Tina-sensei clarified, in a class match it would be unfair to limit only the fighters. so students from the same class were allowed to use support magic. Meanwhile, Luna weighed the strength of each and the consequences of her support. She admitted that Edgar was terrible because of the circumstances and decided to strengthen Melody with all her might. The sudden surge of energy caught Melody off guard. The power surged into her body noticeably stronger than before. It seems she is counting on this, thought Luna. Edgar appreciated the first-year team, describing Dragonoid as a beast girl with a unique ability to charm. Such descriptions only fueled his frustration and he increasingly dreamed of returning home and finally resting. He couldn't resist and wondered why the young gentleman had impressed them so much in class, until Melody shouted to him that she would seek revenge for the defeat by Russian. Edgar laughed and said that they were the first to destroy their representatives. But his laughter stopped and he turned aside when he asked if they were also backing up with supportive magic from behind. His partner caught him with his spell just like their teacher, who was hiding him behind a book. The previous member of the student council asked Rain, did he also see this dirty trick before? Which he confirmed. The head of the student council said that it was the most unpleasant. Edgar was supported by the magic of that man's protection. While the black-haired girl was commenting, this fight is already over. Teachers have just been banned from participating in the class competition, even with supportive magic. Melody shifted her gaze to support Luna and thought how incredible it was. Meanwhile, the commentator announced that the fight had begun. She felt the power rising in waves from her body, and together with Luna's efforts, her movements and speed surged forward. Melody kept telling herself she must live up to her creator's expectations. And with that, she decided to start with a sprint. Clenching her palms on the floor, she strengthened her arms. Melody jumped up and with all her might fired a flying strike toward Edgar. She managed to land several hits, but the senior student was able to block every single one. When Edgar slipped and lost his balance, he fell off the stage. Melody was confused when he suddenly appeared beside her and commented on how dangerous her attack had been. His movements irritated her. She realized that Edgar not only used bait magic, but also knew how to read people. Yet Melody decided she could catch him off guard by using her left hand. She quickly struck him with her left fist. His barrier cracked again and shattered. Melody got angry, the attack missed and hit the ground. Clenching her teeth, she faced Edgar and asked if they really intended to fight. Edgar quickly moved aside, stepped forward before his teacher, and showed that he also had support magic. Thanks to this, he could get up much faster. The senior was about to warn him, but Edgar got fired up and mocked Melody, challenging her to a fight. Try to hit him even once. Furious, Melody released a flying kick at him, but instead of hitting Edgar, she accidentally hit the instructor and he was thrown back. He flew. Edgar appeared next to her. He said, commenting on how probably painful it was for the instructor to get hit by that blow. Melody couldn't believe she had fallen for another bait again. Edgar suddenly started praising her and declared that she was strong enough to be with him. He had already accepted that he would lose if everything went the same way, and then suddenly declared that it seemed. Raising both hands, he repeated the words and admitted defeat. Edgar explained that he had no more strength. All his mana and endurance seemed to have been completely washed away. He couldn't continue. He said this with a quiet, shy look. The judge clarified whether this meant that he was officially withdrawing from the match, and Edgar confirmed, yes, he couldn't live with himself if he won through cheating. During the audience part, Connie was called to join during the rain, and the referee announced that there were no more students capable of fighting for the 7th-year team. With a whistle, he gave the signal and the match ended. And Rina Sensei's class was declared the winner. The hall and the new class contenders couldn't believe their victory until Edgar stepped down from the stage. Melody approached him and asked why he had conceded, but he did not answer directly. Instead, he apologized for not playing until the end, although he admitted that he had fun. This left a bitter taste in Melody's mouth. Meanwhile, Tina apologized to Fortress and Haruto for not having the chance to show herself. Fortress assured her that there was nothing to worry about, and Haruto emphasized that the most important thing for them was the victory in the class. Ruck said that even if he had a chance to fight, he was not sure if he could defeat Edward. He asked Haruto if he had the same mood. Our hero replied that if it were his turn, he would try a few magical spells but still was not sure. Because of this, Ruck clicked his tongue in annoyance towards the opposing team. On the territory of the Ifrit Magic Academy dormitories, Luna came across an unexpected dead end during her game. Despite the fight going on in the middle, the field was completely white. Luna had never seen anything like it before. Melody admitted that such a result was rare, confirming Luna's unexpected victory in such a strange way. Not intending to lose again, Melody demanded a rematch, serious, competitive, and the fire returned to her again. Later, Luna confessed. She played seriously as she was ordered but now regretted not holding back a little. Haruto gently calmed Melody, dispelling her annoyance, and Luna quietly thanked him, watching with a gentle smile. Beyond the games, Luna effortlessly handled the most difficult magical questions during daily lectures in class. Watching the lesson, Haruto wondered how unusually talented his classmates were, especially Luna. Out of sight, the student council discussed how strange the first year looked after recent observations and events. Their conversation exposed Luna's classmates, the beast girl with magically enhanced strength, the genius elf, and even Haruto himself. In the council hall, teachers discussed rare draconoids and noted the growing list of geniuses in the class. Tina Harabil's class, already well-known, became even more interesting with each new report about strange students. Kanani was entrusted to continue the investigation, and Tina prepared donations for the local orphanage. Suddenly, a confident girl clung to Haruto, thus she revealed herself, a demon named Yuko. She confirmed her status, faithful servant of Haruto, a powerful level 99 demon bound by contract. Yuko showed that her magic was incredibly insidious hypnosis. She could instantly subdue anyone with a lower level. While others remained calm, Haruto was stunned. He learned that Rishin and Edgar had already risen to incredible heights. Elfin admitted that her level was 80, and most likely, it was already under Yuko's influence. Two classmates appeared level 60. This almost exactly matched Luna's current magical level. Melody showed her level 52, and at the same time she swayed nervously and with surprise among such powerful opponents. Luna was calmed by classmates reminding her how valuable her healing contributions were. With gratitude for the support, Luna smiled broadly and brightly, while Haruto quietly stood behind, still marked as level 1. While the conversations continued, Haruto felt as if he was cornered and did not know if he would have to reveal his level 2. He finally decided to stop hiding, preparing to reveal his level and curse. With firm determination, Haruto raised his voice. It was time to confess the truth about his current level. Just as Haruto was about to reveal his status, Edgar unexpectedly asked him not to do it. Edgar admitted. Haruto exceeded his expectations and realized that he was trained by Tina and even stronger than the family. Due to concern, Edgar confessed that he saw Haruto's level could severely impact his self-esteem or confidence. Stunned, Haruto insisted that they misunderstood everything, but his level remained at 1, and the reason was unknown. Embarrassed and laughing, everyone agreed not to look. Even Haruto accepted to hide his status, at least for now. The freshmen arrived at Higani Forest. They were given a rare permission to train there, where usually upperclassmen practice. Luna hesitated, and then, when proposals to form partner pairs began to appear, she could only lend a shoulder. The team selection began. Edgar chose Luna, and Elfin teamed up with Ryuka, and others quickly followed suit. The twin sisters stuck together. Yuko did not let go of Haruto, and the teams finally formed all around. When everyone was in place and ready, the instructor raised her hand and announced the start of forest training. Tina reminded the class not to get injured, and in case of danger handed out emergency whistles for safety warnings. Each student was given a magical bracelet that tracked the number and rank of monsters killed. Nearby, the teacher heard their excitement and confirmed the goal, to feed as many monsters as possible. She was scared that they had grabbed on so fiercely, but still admitted this was exactly the competition she had hoped for when she wanted to launch them. Although no levels will be gained, team and tactical growth are the real goals for today. With a goldfinch and a clear team, the exercise started. The students rushed forward to engage in battle with the monsters. Separating from the allies, Yuko addressed her lord and asked how to act against the approaching threat, the monster. The group discussed brainwashing strategies, not knowing if it was possible to control intelligent monsters using Yuko's magic. Boy confidently stepped forward and summoned a swirling spell vortex, promising to handle everything alone. Several fireballs surrounded him in the air, and Yuko was amazed their shape, beauty, and precise control of magic. Combining elemental cores, he transformed the fire into a beast, a magical steed, a blazing horse. Seeing the transformation, Yuko loudly gasped. She was shocked by what the summoned spell had turned into. From the armored centaur emerged a figure. Lightning crackled, and the wind spell and lightning magic merged into weapon and body. His form stabilized. The boy confidently declared completion. Fire Lance Special Edition was ready. Yuko guessed it resembled the legendary Flame Knight, although awkwardly denied and refuted that she belonged to the magical classification. He sent both creatures into battle, while Yuko worried that high magic spells were being used too lightly. During the lesson, Yuko suggested sharing mana kindly, not even suspecting that she was still being closely watched. A sudden voice shook her. The teacher caught everything and reminded them of the rules. Tina appeared and warned the students. Their grades would suffer for indecent behavior, all because of magically linked monitoring bracelets. She threatened to cancel Yuko's dinner if she did not obey and remove the magical tracker. Completely confused, Yuko complained about the harsh punishment until he feared he would miss Tina's legendary homemade dishes. The girl quietly sympathized with her friend, watching as he struggled to digest Haruto's everyday magic. Hearing a hint about her feelings for Haruto, she got scared and realized that her emotions were too obvious to everyone. He gently calmed her, thanked her for coming over, and asked for her help, which she had provided during the entrance. She smiled gently, recalling Haruto's words, and decided to thank him with a warm gift of chocolate. Their peaceful moments were broken. A lone wolf appeared nearby and they had to be careful, although no threat was known. They realized that wolves were class copies that gave no experience, but something was still wrong. Sensing danger, the girl quickly warned Rook, boosting his speed before the wolf could attack. When her magic activates, the wolf's movements sharply slow down and unnatural fierce aggression and constructive formation behavior surface. Rook intercepted a heavy blow and shouted to Luna to prepare magic. The wolves were not ordinary enemies. A powerful explosion burst through the clearing, shaking the trees and scattering birds into the open sky. After the tornado strike, Rook and Luna watched the dust settle and decided the threat had passed. Suddenly, glowing eyes flashed deep in the forest and more creatures approached from the shadows. Magic-resistant bison monsters appeared in a swarm, breaking forest rules, and immediately creating serious tactical threats. Other students joined in. Melody rushed forward while Leafa prepared a powerful, coordinated magical attack. Their combo worked and Leafa's explosion hit thanks to Melody's distraction. The team celebrated their coordinated effort. Aggressive forest creatures pressed in on them from all sides. The pair assessed the overwhelming number of enemies without panic or hesitation. Above them in the darkness flew shadowy bat-like monsters swiftly merging into a chaotic swarm already frenzied on the ground. With a fierce shout, the dark-haired fighter charged forward, smashing scorpions with brutal force. His strike threw the giant insect against the rock, and immediately, on the spot, the armored body was crushed from the impact. While one joked about how to fry the scorpion, the other disapproved without any flinching, indifferent to this whole grotesque idea. Standing on the fallen enemies, she dryly pondered the relentless clashes about their captivating class. She mockingly teased Rashin about his training, and he blushed again from shame and irritation. Off-screen, Mai froze in place, her hair moved in the wind, and she felt something disturbing nearby. Mai sensed that her sister was nervous, and cautiously asked. It was hard for her to explain exactly what she felt. Mai compared the strange feeling to an Ifrit, an aura not monsters, but something much more familiar. Mai felt something stronger than Ifrit, an aura that should not be here, in this peaceful space. Tina carefully monitored the combat data and noticed the monster's movements were unnatural and strangely synchronized. She suspected external interference and wondered if outside monsters had broken through their class field. The wolf pack approached again. Gazes met with Mai's, and Mai froze under the forest silence. One wolf raised its head and noticed a strange magical symbol high in the sky, hanging far above the ground. Hovering above the trees, she felt a familiar mana, flowing in waves from deep within the dense forest. Or deciding so, she swiftly descended, confident. It was someone's mighty power, someone very strong, hidden somewhere in the forest. The celestial priestess felt that something had gone wrong. His power continued to grow, despite the divine curse placed upon him. Fearing defeat, the god ordered Shikigami to retrieve an even deadlier curse from the Forbidden Archive. Despite their malicious origin, all summoned beings, even the cursed, were destined to become heroes of this world. The search scrolls of Shikigami unfold a description of eternal weakness, no growth, no endurance, no escape from a frozen, cursed fate. Instead of searching manually, she summoned dozens of spirits to instantly distribute the work across the shelves. Books fly through the air, her clones frantically flip pages, and she is overwhelmed by the incredible volume of the god's curse. A single book stood out, marked by petrification magic, but the demon lord initially doubted its effectiveness. Shikigami opened the hidden archive, recalling that the level 1 curse in the cabinet box had not yet been tested, and it was rare. Their joy grew as they imagined the victims despair the realization of eternal weakness, with no path to growth. Conceived to restrain the growth of power, the curse unexpectedly froze Hashirito's attributes at the very bottom. After the ceremony, the evil god fell into sleep, exhausted by mana and completely deprived of consciousness. Despite magical surveillance measures, Shikigami could not find Hashirito. Fears only grew. He might already be dead. Finally, her sphere flared with magic. Hashirito's aura barely outlined from the distant forest. For now, classes were cancelled on the street. Monsters tore and pushed, and students huddled near the edge of the forest, trembling with fear. The knight warned everyone to stay behind and prepared to release high-level spells against the invisible threat. Before starting anything with casting, she noticed a mysterious girl standing calmly, and behind her a strange boy. Sensing something wrong, she approached cautiously and realized someone was unnaturally controlling the monsters around. Shikigami identified the intruder as connected to the devil god, a dangerous entity that must be destroyed. Without hesitation, the knight rushed forward and accused her of manipulating the monsters, threatening the peaceful silence of the forest. The knight charged forward, shouting about the intent to destroy the threat and ignoring any explanations. After her attack, a colossal explosion occurred. The ground where Shikigami had stood moments before was completely destroyed. When the smoke cleared, it became clear the explosion had failed. Tina looked confused and Shikigami remained completely unharmed. From the smoke, Shikigami emerged again with minor injuries, shocked but still standing. Realizing that restraint gave nothing, Tina summoned advanced magical circles and prepared to sharply increase the destructiveness of the battle. Tina roared the name of the spell and unleashed Thor's hammer, a powerful divine attack, without any hesitation. In flight, he was intercepted. Shikigami was bound and forcefully thrown down, while he meanwhile wondered what could have caused such a bloody misunderstanding. Above the forest, Tina calmly hovered, satisfied the magical bonds firmly sealed the enemy below. Although it still hung in the air, Shikigami wondered if her divine presence alone could disturb the natural balance of the forest. Before retreating, she was covered by a giant magical line Tina. Her last spell exploded upward, tearing the sky apart. During the preparation for defense, Shikigami suddenly felt Tina's energy was quickly approaching from behind. She flinched in the air and wondered if her proximity to the evil god caused these bloody attacks. Escalation risked divine exposure. She feared that the creator god would intervene if the chaos continued any longer. Noticing Haruto from afar, Shikigami realized, perhaps he is the key to surviving here unnoticed. Barely smiling, she whispered near Tina, subtly releasing the tension from herself. Shikigami offered a talisman, asking Tina to protect Haruto before disappearing with a mysterious smile. Without warning, a powerful explosion thundered behind Tina, throwing her off balance right in the air. Suddenly, she was grabbed from behind the claw of a monster, heavy and monstrous, gripping tightly without letting go. The masked monster dragged her down. She struggled, realizing the impact with the ground was about to happen. Below, some student screams Tina's name in despair, helplessly watching her fall from the sky. Haruto turned to the chaos and immediately recognized Tina falling and how the monster was pulling her down. So in the air, gaining momentum, the senior warrior struck the monster's face, intercepting its grip before the blow could occur. Burning with fury in his eyes, he declared war on the monster and released the tension of the scene. A sudden sharp airstrike catches the instructor off guard. He blocks, silently reading his opponent. Realizing the target is the teacher, Lifa abruptly jumps forward, while chaos unfolds around during the training. Without warning, the student jumps from above and suddenly leaps forward. The melody intercepts the fall. Jumping from the spot, she manages to take position under the falling girl. Seconds remain before she can do anything. She precisely catches the student mid-flight and absorbs the momentum, so both land safely, tumbling into a roll. Professor Tina collapses, panic suddenly flares, and the students realize this is not just exhaustion. Ruka gently holds her in her palms while others gather together, sensing something more sinister than a simple injury. She warned too late. Her enemy's weapon was treated with a fast-acting, invisible poison. The black claws of the fallen enemy twitched, poisonous magic oozed from the body, and he explained that she suddenly fainted. Luna throws quick supportive spells, layering buffs and shields, giving Risshin the chance to counterattack without hesitation. Risshin carefully plans his next strike, studying the monster's weakness and simultaneously preparing backup combat options. Tina wakes up wounded and ashamed of her condition, but she is reminded her presence still matters. Despite his own doubts, Risshin defends others' faith in his strength even against stronger upperclassmen like Edgar. Moved by the encouragement, Tina smiles, surprised that Dragonoid could accept such sincere respect from humans at all. With courage reignited, Risshin reveals his dragon claw and charges into battle. Despite the odds, the forces against him are too uneven. A sudden shockwave tears through the battlefield and forces the students to press under the magical barrier. Squinting intently, she recognizes the wild dragon-like power of Risshin, but understands his opponent has not yet shown everything. Despite Luna's support, Risshin's mana is depleting. Retreat becomes urgent as enemy reinforcements rush wildly toward them. And the warning comes too late. Risshin, not having time to recover, loses rhythm as the threat approaches. While Risshin holds the position, the rest evacuate, dragging Tina as magical forces explode across the canyon. The students exchange nervous glances, realizing the situation is much more serious than they expected. With a firm voice, she confirms the identity of the threat as the creature's claw bites into the ground. A monstrous demon emerges, a giant, masked and shackled in chains. His threat is instantly recognized by everyone watching. In a flash of magic, sandvine chains rise from the sand and momentarily restrain the masked, unveiled horror's movement. The sandy-bound demonic influence grows dangerously, forcing others to shout for Risshin to retreat. He steps forward, his body hardened by dragon morph, and is ready to hold the enemy, despite the danger already mounting. From afar, two girls silently watch, not intervening as the battle unfolds below. The spirit of the White Wolf feels doubts, and if Haruto fails this simple task, they may question her dignity. Seeing the truth, she hesitates. Her contract means nothing if he turns out unworthy. She quietly approached, clenching her hands, still calling him Haruto. Her loyalty remained unchanged and unbreakable. Since he destroyed the training grounds, the academy kept its distance from him. Enchanted by his incredible mana, she dreamed of making a contract with Haruto herself. Despite her cold restraint, she acknowledged his rare power above all the fox spirit that was nearby. With one sweep, Haruto unleashed a mighty flame, proving his power surpasses what anyone could imagine. Ignited by the idea of a legacy, Mai believed she could become truly powerful. More experienced reminded her that true contracts have weight, not just dreams of power. Gently placing her hands on my shoulders, she spoke directly and honestly, revealing her intentions with care. Memories. Her fingers always gripped this tightly secretly. She dreamed they would have the same magical contractor. No matter how proud Mai was as an older sister, watching her find her own path was bittersweet and simultaneously sweetly shameful. At first she was not sure, but then she realized. They could not simply retreat while others faced the impending danger. With renewed strength, Maya responded briskly, ready to act while the pack sensed movement. The wolves growled sharply. She felt a huge magical presence approaching stronger and stronger. Despite not possessing mastery of fire, they immediately recognized the terrible aura confidently heading straight for their group. Breaking free from the fiery whirl, the night was engulfed in solid flames. Maya was struck, and she froze in awe. Mystic. The mysterious silhouette vanished in a flash of light, and May recognized the signature of rare summoning magic from. Without hesitation, she grabbed May's hand and pulled her, together to investigate the strange magical event, convinced that, once it was Haruto's spell, and Maya rushed forward, firmly resolved to offer him a contract. May secretly wished that Haruto could also control water magic, just to stay close to her sister forever. Yet in truth, it was she who could not let go of their bond. Suddenly Russell broke the silence. The wild attacker dashed toward the Russian with insane speed. Stunned, the Russian stared at his hand, shocked that his dragon-scaled skin had indeed been damaged. The masked enemy struck again so fast that even the Russians could not keep up with his fierce manner. His hand shot into the air, cleanly severed, and only a bloody trail followed. Wounded but composed, the Russian tightened the stance while his comrades screamed his name in panic. Clenching his jaw, the Russian felt the poison from the wound spreading through his body, and this stunned the allies nearby, instantly plunging them into silence. Without hesitation, Rock cast a light spell, glancing at Haruto out of the corner of his eye as if silently asking for permission. He flicked the light whip upward, catching the Russian in midair to stop his fall. Hearing the limit of their strength, they begged Haruto to act before the monster overwhelmed them all. As urgency mounted, Rock ordered Haruto to fight, reminding him, now others depended on his hidden power. The disguised villain activated a dark spell circle, and his energy pulsed beneath the claws of his feet. Relying on his strength, he smashed the ground to pieces and prepared to strike monstrously, with incredible cruelty. While you are distracted on the battlefield, you can lose sight of the place of the flashing horse and magic. The summoned knight finally arrived. Flames roared around his armor and he charged into battle. Without hesitation, the fiery knight swung and struck the demon with a colossal blow, stunning it. Another knight fell on the battlefield, and the allies did not know if it was friend or foe. Without delay, the knight's blazing axe struck the demon right in its monstrous chest. When the corrupted core shattered, Haruto confirmed its death, but something still remained lethally unresolved. Fresh tentacles burst from the creature's torso. It was regenerating faster than anyone expected. Realizing the truth, they concluded, complete destruction was needed, and for that magic so strong as to erase the core entirely. Tina collapsed from exhaustion while her students assessed the battlefield and supported her recovery. Yuko gathered all her strength and showed that she was accumulating energy using only her two tails. Swearing an oath of loyalty, she prepared to release the boundless reserves of mana to support the summoned lore. She deployed a powerful barrier, giving everyone shelter, and placed all responsibility on her chosen master. When the barrier fell, Yuko gave her blessing, and now Haruto could finally unleash everything he was capable of. Tina explained that only Haruto's magic could overcome the threat. He alone was enough to break the monster's resistance with a normal spell. The power of the monster was comparable to entire states. It quickly regenerated, and its existence posed a catastrophic threat if not stopped to the limit. To destroy the monster, they needed an ultra-powerful heat capable of completely burning its regenerative core. Under her pleas, Haruto was forced to unleash his true power and protect everyone. Flames engulfed him from all sides. He swore he would not fail again and directed 30 of his power. Haruto released a concentrated fiery spear, aiming directly at the demon's regenerative core with flawless precision. To reach the sealed enemy god, she swiftly descended to the sanctuary hidden in complete solitude. Arriving at the empty ruined sanctuary, she resumed her duties in cold silence and solitude. Walking among broken tiles, she reviewed the energy flow calculations and future additions for Demon Lord. Before the throne, she admitted that the burden of managing divine affairs was entirely on her without any help and without rest. Looking hurt through bitterness, she admired how the evil god endlessly absorbed power but did absolutely nothing. A strange magical scroll crumbled in her hands, spilling energy she had no intention of releasing. Confused by her own zeal, she realized she had accidentally activated a dangerous forbidden spell. Elsewhere, the young man unleashed powerful magic and sighed with relief. His previous decision was correct. His spell struck the appearance of the monster, trying to protect the unknown figure in the midst of the explosion. Standing over the ruined battlefield, he felt a still-living power, proof that someone mighty had already been here. Although the monster was destroyed, The aftermath exploded into flames, a blazing forest fire threatening everything around. Flames roared from all sides. They panicked, holding protective barriers and desperately searching for an exit. The boy coordinated their efforts, combining smaller spells to extinguish the fire without exhausting his magical limit. Cursed by an evil god, he could not cast spells exceeding 10 mana at once, so that, to bypass the limitation, he formed thousands of mana clusters, leaving complex symbols in powerful constructs. Submissive to his curse, Haruto summoned the only one capable of stopping the spreading flames. In response appeared the water spirit Endane, and her presence was both commanding and exquisitely all-powerful for the entire scene. Immediately recognizing Haruto, she greeted warmly, recalling their connection from 3 years ago. The immortal mockingly scolded him for ignoring their bond, while another girl awkwardly tried to interrupt. With surprise at the familiarity, they realized. The rest already knew that Undyne and Mai had met before back in May. Mai hesitated on the word, trying to speak, still not ready to answer Undyne's direct question. Amid all the hustle, Haruto interrupted them, reminding, extinguishing the spreading fire remained their priority. Hearing the truth, she shuddered and agreed to help because she understood. Haruto holds a powerful spirit contract. The flames surged forward, the heat increased. The instructions were clear: release water upwards, then spread it with magic. A delay, Lefa raised her hands, the magical wind was gathering, while Yuko struggled to hold the barrier. A mighty stream roared upwards, water rushed into the sky. It was guided by both the spirit's power and the caster. The gust erupts outward in flashes, in fierce rings, cutting through rising steam clouds and scattering water over the burning ground. There was no time to rest. Magic flowed again, the gaze fixed firmly, and the dying fire still held with the fighters trying to survive. The rain poured, but resistance grew. The flames did not weaken, they continued burning and spreading faster, even despite the summoned elemental water. Sounds of encouragement rose immediately. The twins focused, synchronized their breathing, and gathered shared mana for the spell. Magic flared between their bodies. Frozen energy twisted into a spiral outward, while Icicle Ballad entered the activation phase. Sharp icy shards floated upward. Their bodies remained steady, controlling the direction while the temperature dropped sharply. Clouds filled with ice. Power increases, crystals multiply, speed grows with every second of focus until the aiming channel diverts the force. After the spell, she fainted. Her sister summoned the magic of heat to activate the icy formation of the sky. Understanding illuminated him instantly. He smiled, recalling his mission: warmth passing through the rain. Water spells must continue. Instead of dividing attention, he called Ifrit, the fire elemental, to help with warming the clouds. Ifrit appeared without any delay. In reactions from surprise to panic, his appearance shocked the two spellbound twins. A revelation struck. Haruto's hidden contract with Ifrit clarified everything, confirming suspicions from their last meeting. Seeing Ifrit up close, she gasped with excitement and adoration, bursting over the edge, spilling onto Haruto. Quietly listening, he could notice his sister's passion. Understanding grew along with the increasing downpour and inner heat. Hands joined, yesterday's tension vanished. May showed her devotion despite the cost and any outcome. No hesitation remained. May confirmed her words as the rain echoed the full weight and sincerity of the moment. Reactions sharply diverged. Mai fully embraced the presence of the storm, while her sister muttered through the wet discomfort. The rain scorched her expression as if it had settled in her chest, but Haruto's silent vow remained steadfast inside. Returning to the academy, news of the attack surfaced. An unclean being appeared in the forest. Alarm spread among the leaders. The academy did not feel the threat first. Years ago, they had dealt with it themselves. The reports confirmed a targeted strike on the target class. It turned out that the Grutina Horrible group was already engaged during active training operations. No casualties were reported. Tina defeated the Marvel monster, and suspicions immediately gathered around her actions. The first reports were inaccurate. The investigation showed the decisive blow was not dealt by that person, Natina. Haruto's identity was confirmed. The recognition spread instantly. He was the son of the Cyrilaz Count with a strange history. Fearing his influence, the teachers organized a meeting. Haruto was summoned for interrogation immediately after that. In the director's office, Haruto met an older man. He sighed with relief upon learning about Tina's current safe condition. Warm words followed. The elder revealed the connection. Haruto had already earned the respect of his grandson. Rook's natural talent remained undisclosed, but Haruto's presence made him truly strive, and it was visible in real magical progress. In response to the handshake exchange, gratitude was expressed. The elder felt something was wrong. Haruto's mana reserves were too low. Surprise shook his face. The man had exactly as much stamina as an ordinary novice who had just started. Tina stepped forward. While she defended Haruto's value, Haruto quietly acknowledged the obvious truth. Not without objections, the confession sounded calm and Haruto accepted the disclosure. The director apologized, admitting he had gone too far, digging too deep. Before revealing anything further, Haruto asked the director to keep his next words completely secret. Permission was granted, the director accepted his condition, and Tina was also invited to listen. In a peaceful tone, Hiroto activated the status screen, and a shocking truth flashed on it. Level 1, Tina reacted instantly. Amazement appeared on her face. She could not believe it, because the visible inconsistency was glaring. And as soon as the confirmation of Haruto's achievements worked, her face became even more puzzled. His magical limitation made sense. Low-level spells were all he had ever had access to. A rare curse appeared in his status. Haruto revealed everything. During reincarnation, he was cursed by an evil god, so he remained at level 1. Tina explained the existence of the evil god. He revived the demon king and spread despair. Haruto suspected a divine mistake. Killing demons contradicted his cursed, completely ineffective purpose. To demonstrate everything, Haruto led them outside, ordering the others to monitor his current mana level. He immersed Firelands effortlessly, despite low stats. His magical burst exploded with unusual, even excessive power. Shock covered them because his mana did not decrease. Haruto confirmed, the energy still remains limitless, eternally untouched. Hiroto assumed that the curse does not limit his stats. Perhaps the god set him up incorrectly altogether. Even with endless mana, they doubted his combat strength. How would he defeat powerful monsters? Without any hesitation, he calmly showed the act before everyone, a concentrated burst of energy. Quickly casting low-level spells and combining elements, Haruto sharply increased their destructive power. They were stunned. He discharged 50,000 fire spears and effortlessly destroyed the entire structure. Tina reassured them. She was unharmed, just one stone absorbed the power of the magical explosion. The professor recognized Haruto's origin and his strange, mysterious, abnormal power, and now it finally formed a complete picture. Smiling, Haruto promised to keep his power under control and act moderately during training. Returning to Tina, he learned the director would support him mainly to protect the entire school. Haruto nervously laughed, scratching the back of his head, and quietly vowed not to break anything else by accident. Nina quietly apologized, and suddenly she was overwhelmed with shame because she had missed Haruto's pain, even though she always stayed by his side. Tears welled up as she admitted her fault, tormented by the fact that she had never noticed his curse. Haruto gently reassured her. Those difficulties were manageable thanks to her advice and constant presence throughout the whole time. Thanks to her guidance, he mastered the fusion of spells and quick casting, breaking the curse's design. With gratitude, he asked for her continued support. Filled with joy, Tina gladly accepted. From afar, it was visible to everyone. Others looked on with curiosity, but the closeness of Tina and Haruto did not go unnoticed among the students.